The Galactic Council had existed for 10,000 years. 10,000 years of wars prevented, civilization saved, species brought back from the edge of extinction through diplomacy, negotiation, and the slow, painful work of learning to coexist. In 10,000 years, the Council had never asked anyone for help. Until now, the Draavn had no warning. That was the first thing every species noted when the reports came in. The Draavn were not a minor civilization. They were not unprepared. They had 12 homeworlds, a fleet that rivaled the Devorian Empire at its peak, and a history of military conquest stretching back 800 years. They had absorbed 43 civilizations in that time, some by force, some by economic pressure, some simply by making it clear that resistance was not a viable option. The 44th civilization on their list was a small species called the Ithori. The Ithori had 2 worlds, a population of 3 billion, technology that was, by most measures, 2 generations behind the galactic average. They had been members of the Galactic Council for only 11 years. They had nothing the Draavn wanted except their location. Their 2 worlds sat at the intersection of 3 major trade routes. Whoever controlled those routes controlled commerce across an entire sector. The Draavn sent their fleet first, 40 warships surrounding the Ithori homeworld. Then came the message, simple, direct. Surrender your world governance to Draavn. Administration within 72 hours, or we will take it by force. The Ithori sent one communication to the Galactic Council. It said only, please help us. The emergency session was the most tense. Sarah had attended in 40 years of council membership. Species argued. Factions formed. Some wanted immediate military response. Others warned of escalation. The Devorians pointed out that engaging the Draavn fleet directly would mean war with a civilization that had never been defeated in 800 years. For 6 hours, nothing was decided. Then Sarah Chen spoke. She had been silent the entire session, sitting in her usual place, watching, listening, with those dark, quiet eyes that never seemed to miss anything. When she finally stood, the room went still immediately. It always did. The Ithori asked for help, she said simply. The Council exists to provide help. The question of whether we are capable of providing it, she paused, is not actually a question. Ambassador Kreeth leaned forward. You are proposing that humanity intervenes directly. I am proposing, Sarah said, that the Council intervenes. With human support. She looked around the room. This is not a human problem. It is a Council problem. We will not solve it alone. But we will not stand aside while a Council member is destroyed because we could not agree in time. The vote took 11 minutes. It passed. What happened next was studied in military academies across the galaxy for the next 200 years, not because of the scale of the response, because of the precision. The Draavn fleet commander, whose name was Voth, received no warning. One moment his 40 warships were in position around the Ithori homeworld, countdown to the 72-hour deadline ticking towards 0. The next moment, they were surrounded, not by a human fleet, by a joint council force. Ships from 14 different species flying in formation together, something that had never happened before in the history of the Galactic Council. At the center of the formation, positioned directly between the Draavn fleet and the Ithori homeworld, were 11 human vessels. Just 11. Voth stared at his scanner readings. 40 against 11, against a joint force that was still heavily outnumbered by his fleet overall. He opened a communication channel. The face that appeared was not Sarah Chen. It was a young human, male, short dark hair, a scar along his jaw. He wore the insignia of a fleet commander but looked, by human standards, extremely young. He could not have been more than 35 years old. He looked almost relaxed. Fleet Commander Voth, the young human said pleasantly. I am Commander James, Okafor of the Human Protocol Fleet. I wanted to introduce myself before we begin. Voth stared at him. Before you begin what? Explaining your options, Okafor said. He pulled up a holographic display that appeared on every Draavn screen simultaneously without Voth's permission. It showed the Draavn fleet's position, their fuel levels, their supply lines back to Draavn space, the location of every Draavn military installation within 4 sectors. All of it, perfect, real time. You have 40 ships, Okafor said pleasantly. We have 11 human vessels and our council allies. You are correct that you outnumber us. He smiled slightly. I want to be completely transparent with you about what those 11 ships are capable of. so that you can make a fully informed decision. He paused. Each of our vessels is carrying enough firepower to crack a moon. Not damage. Not disable, crack. We tested it last year on a dead rock in the outer rim. Took about 40 seconds. Another pause. Your ships have excellent hull plating. I reviewed the specifications this morning. Against our weapons payload, that plating will hold for approximately 6 seconds. The Draavn fleet went completely silent. Now, Okafor continued, still in exactly the same pleasant tone. I want to be clear. We do not want to do that. None of us want that. The Council does not want that. I personally would very much prefer to go home, tonight having resolved this peacefully. He looked directly at, but the Authority asked for help, and we came, and we will not leave until they are safe. He folded his hands. So your options? You can withdraw now, return to Draavn space, and we will consider this matter closed. No record filed. No sanctions. No consequences. A simple misunderstanding between neighbors, he paused. Or you can choose not to withdraw. In which case, I will have to stop being pleasant. Another pause. I'm much better at pleasant. Voth withdrew. All 40 ships. Within 20 minutes. The fastest military withdrawal the Council had ever recorded, beating even the Sarathi's 19 minutes and 47 seconds. The Authority sent a message to the Council afterward. Just 2 words. Thank you. At the debrief session, Ambassador Zixara asked Commander Okafor one question. The firepower you described, he said carefully. Cracking a moon in 40 seconds. Was that true? Okafor considered the question for a moment. We did test something in the Outer Rim last year, he said. That is not what I asked, Zixara said. Okafor smiled. It was a small smile, calm and old and full of things that had no words. Zixara had seen that smile before, on Sarah Chen's face, in the archive hall on Earth's moon. Ambassador, Okafor said quietly. With respect, some questions are more useful unasked. He stood, nodded politely, and left the room. Zixara sat very still for a long time afterward, thinking about a species that had spent 100,000 years, learning exactly how dangerous the universe could be, and exactly how dangerous they could be in return, and who had chosen every single day to be something better than that. Not because they had forgotten what they were, but because they remembered. What happens when the Draavn decide that 40 ships was not enough? Part 5 is coming. Subscribe to Human Protocol. The universe is about to find out what happens when humanity stops being patient.